All right. Welcome to the Glitch Mob podcast. I'm Monica Vanderpool. I'm going to be your host this week, and I am sitting here with Ronda Kremske. She's with Real Health Resolutions, and Rhonda has lost 120 pounds. She's kept it off for 4 years now. What drew me to Rhonda is that she's got Hashimoto's disease, which is what we're going to talk about today. And she has learned with having this techniques and what she can eat and what she can do to help lose the weight and keep it off. So I'm very intrigued with this. Thank you for joining us, Rhonda. How are you?
Absolutely. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So let's talk about Hashimoto's disease.
Okay.
What it is, when you found out that you had it, what were your symptoms?
Okay, super. So Hashimoto's disease, also known as Hashimoto's thyroiditis, is, I'm sorry, Hashimoto's thyroiditis. It's a mouthful, but it's an autoimmune disorder. And basically it's where your immune system is attacking your thyroid gland. So that leads to inflammation, and it can end up in hypothyroidism, which is what I have also, which is basically a condition where your thyroid is not producing enough of the hormones for your body's needs. So there's a lot of different risk factors as far as what can lead to having Hashimoto's disease. Genetics plays a huge role in it. So if you have a family history of thyroid issues or any autoimmune diseases, that can definitely increase your risk of having Hashimoto's. Your gender and age definitely makes a difference. As women, we are much more likely to get Hashimoto's than men, and especially during middle age. So that tends to be the largest number of people who are diagnosed with it. And then there's even environmental triggers that can cause it. So exposure to certain toxins, infections even can sometimes trigger the disease. So some of the symptoms that I was experiencing and a lot of other people experience are fatigue, sluggishness, just feeling like you have no energy, even if you're getting enough sleep, not feeling rested. Weight gain, that was a huge one for me that I've battled my entire life. I've been a consistent yo-yo dieter. So the fact that I've been able to keep 120 pounds off for 4 years is a true testament to this lifestyle change that I've made, which I'll talk about as we go on. But being intolerant to cold is another symptom where you're constantly feeling like you can't get warm. Having joint pain, muscle pain. I can remember being in so much pain that literally, like, if I was out to dinner with friends and I would stand up, I would have to stand there for a few minutes to acclimate my body to the pain before I could take a step. And so I remember purposely like making sure to do that as she first brought the check, so that by the time we would pay the bill, I would have acclimated my body to that pain before I could move. And that's what's so freeing now, is just not having that joint pain any longer, the muscle pain. Dry skin can often be a symptom. Hair loss is a symptom. Depression, memory issues. I can remember, and not that this doesn't happen all, ever, but, walking into a room and knowing I was there for a reason, but thinking like, what in the world am I doing here? I know I'm supposed to be doing something. So that memory loss was so much worse when I was struggling with this.
I would forget conversations. Have you ever had that happen?
Yes. Yes.
Like a few days later, I would be like, what did we talk about? Like I would literally forget what we talked about in conversations.
Yes. Or I could remember that I had had a conversation and I couldn't remember who it was with.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever done that.
Mhm.
But menstrual irregularities in women is another symptom. So I'll be totally honest that the way that I have been able to lose my weight and I'll share in just a few minutes about my specific blood results and how I've been able to improve them. But it was 2019 when I was diagnosed. I was at my functional medicine doctor, and I was actually seeing a nutritionist at the time. And I was paying, to be honest, a lot of money to see this nutritionist. And she had me eating nothing but organic fruits and vegetables. And I was juicing, and I'm a rule follower. So every yo-yo diet that I've done, I've always followed the rules, whatever it was I was doing. I didn't ever understand why I was following the rules, but I followed them. And so I was doing exactly what she said, like, and she gave me a specific diet, the only thing she allowed in at certain points was like 4 ounces of fish with all the organic fruits and vegetables. And I was not losing. And I was so frustrated. I can remember sitting in my functional medicine doctor's office and literally just in tears saying, I'm broken. There's nothing I can do to fix this. I'm doing exactly what she was very qualified and was giving me this advice. And my functional medicine doctor was so kind and just said to me, you're doing it backwards. She said, you're eating nothing but carbohydrates and the sugars that are in those fruits. You need to be doing high fat, low carb, and just do medium protein. And so I started really researching that. And from her, as well as from some of the experts that I highly trust, I love Dr. Eric Berg. He's a doctor that I highly recommend. You can follow him on YouTube. He really emphasizes, with regard to Hashimoto, the importance of your diet in managing Hashimoto's. So he recommends a ketogenic diet, which is what my functional medicine doctor was saying, to get the good fats, high portions of healthy fats, the avocados, coconut oil, olives, nuts, seeds, foods that God intended for us to eat. And what that does by doing that and reducing the carbohydrates, especially in highly processed foods, it will help reduce your inflammation. It's going to support your thyroid function. And so he also suggests incorporating intermittent fasting to help balance your hormone levels and improve your overall health. And that's one thing that has been a huge game changer for me. Because I was always taught you have to eat breakfast, then you need a snack, then lunch, then snack, then dinner, then a snack. And you need to eat every 2 hours, eat 6 small meals. And it's really the furthest from the truth, because your body needs that break from digestion. Your body needs a break from insulin. And so by eliminating snacking, and when I was losing weight, I was doing 2 meals a day. I'm so sorry. Hold on one second. Sorry, I was getting a phone call, so it just
Good.
pulled you
I
off.
have a quick question. So when you intermittent fast, do you do it every day, or do you intermittent fast for, I don't know, a couple of weeks and then go off for a week and then start it back again?
Good question. So I think that it's ideal to mix it up a little bit to kind of shock your body and trick it. But while I was losing, it took me a year to lose the 120 pounds. And during that time frame, I pretty much solely stuck to 2 meals. Now, once I hit my goal weight, in order to keep the weight off, I mix it up. And so some days I just do 1 meal. Other days I might do 3 smaller meals, but I always space my meals far enough apart that I'm allowing my body to have that break from insulin, because when you eat, you're triggering an insulin response. And insulin is so hugely important. It's what takes the nutrients to the cell, and then it acts like the key that opens the receptor on the cell to allow the nutrients in so you can use it for energy. The problem with frequently eating, which is what I always did, even if I was following a keto plan, I always had a bag of nuts in my purse, or I'd have a keto-friendly bar, or if we were on a road trip and we stopped to fill up with gas, I'd run in the convenience store and get a hard-boiled egg or a beef stick. I was always eating. And so I didn't recognize that even though those were low-carb foods, they're still triggering an insulin response. And when you're frequently eating like that, you bombard your cells, and you get to the point where then your cells no longer respond to the insulin, which is called insulin resistance. And the insulin resistance is what then can lead to type 2 diabetes and all kinds of problems. So both of my parents, they're in their mid 70s, and we have all struggled with our weight. I can remember all of us doing every plan together from the time I was about 12, to be honest.
Remember when
And
the like fat-free craze came out?
oh, it's so bad. Yes.
My
I
mom and I.
remember, yes, as I would sit with a bag or a box of Snackwell cookies that were those fat-free with the marshmallow and the chocolate coating.
Yes. Yes, we ate those too, but you felt like you could eat them because they're fat-free.
Right. And they came in the green box that made it look like they were healthy, they were advertised. And I could sit and eat the whole box and not realizing that obviously when they removed the fat, they added carbs and sugar to make it taste good. And that's honestly what I feel like was the detriment to American society was the whole fat-free craze. So, but it definitely makes a huge difference to not eat frequently because your body will then pull, especially if you're eating higher fat, it's going to pull from stored fat when you're not taking in food. And that is what keeps you satiated. And you no longer have, because I honestly, I started in I have a group called Real Health Resolvers. I ended up becoming a certified health coach.
Mhm.
And in that group in January, we do different challenges, and we did an OMAD, or 1 meal a day challenge. And I'll
Mhm.
be honest, I was nervous, even though periodically over these last 4 years, I've been doing 1 meal a day, like on Sundays a lot, because I'll go to church in the morning, we'll have one big meal after church, and then I don't need to eat again till the next day. But
Mhm.
I still always have that fear because I used to hate that sensation of my blood sugar dropping and that shaky, just I hangry, I've got to put something in my mouth now feeling. And I can honestly say that I have not experienced that since I have switched to this form of lifestyle. With getting the higher fats, you stay satiated, you don't feel hungry,
Mhm.
and you are satisfied, and you can go longer periods of time without feeling that and experiencing that low blood sugar drop that just is horrible.
Mhm.
So in January, I started with the OMAD challenge. And to be honest, I loved 1 meal a day so much that I pretty much stuck with it up until we just recently started we're doing a bone broth challenge in my group right now, where we're incorporating bone broth into every meal. And I
Yeah.
came up with a specific meal plan, and it's 2 meals a day. So I went back to the 2 meals. And so I'm adjusting to that at the moment. But when this finishes, I'll probably go back to the 1 meal a day, just because for me, with having a busy lifestyle too, having 4 kids, running my own business, it's nice to not have to think about food except once a day, to not even have to cook for me specifically. Now, of course, I'm feeding my family at other times because not everybody in my family is doing that. My son, he's lost 106 pounds, and he does just 1 meal a day. So he and I pretty much eat the same thing every day. He's 20 now, so I think he was 17 when he first started. So
Wow.
he's been able to keep his weight off too. And that's what I was going to say about my parents. They both were type 2 diabetics. And I know a lot of people with diabetes fear not eating frequently because that's what they've been taught,
Right. Yeah.
but they have done amazing. My dad's now lost 115 pounds. My mom's lost 75 pounds.
Oh my
And
goodness.
they also, up until we started this bone broth challenge since January as well, they've been doing the 1 meal a day. And even with they've lowered their A1Cs. My dad's was above 10. It was like 10.6. It's down to 5.3. My mom's
Mhm.
is also down to 5.3. I think she started at 9.7, but their A1Cs have dropped into normal range. They don't have any episodes of having high or low blood sugar. They're so much more even keeled. And I've had so many patients, or I'm sorry, clients who have the same thing, where their doctors are amazed that their blood sugars have leveled out. I
That's amazing.
have one who's a type 1 diabetic, and she just went to see her endocrinologist, And her endocrinologist she said in her entire career, she's never seen somebody who has had this type of transformation in a 3-month period.
Oh,
So
goodness.
she's been following my plan for 3 months, and her blood sugar levels have completely evened out. And I have another client who her doctor said, you used to have mountains and valleys, and you're now like a level beach. Like that's the way her doctor described it. So it's amazing when we change our lifestyle and not just what we eat, but when we eat it, what a big difference it makes.
And I love that you also teach your clients that, like, if you want to go out to eat, you can go out to eat, but you
Yeah.
show them what they can eat.
Exactly. Yeah, my parents actually eat out until they started this bone broth challenge, because they're very good as well about
Oh,
following the rules. So they're following my exact meal plan, and the food is delicious. I mean, it sounds, when I say bone broth challenge, people are probably thinking, oh, gross, but there's a bone broth protein powder. I buy it from Ancient Nutrition. You can get it from whatever brand you want, but it comes in chocolate. They have one that's called Pure, so you can't taste it at all. And you get the same health benefits from this bone broth protein powder that you get from actual bone broth. And so we put it in things like chocolate flax muffins with chocolate ganache frosting as one of the meals, with bacon, because bacon helps increase the fat. We have double chocolate chip waffles we make. We make smoothies. Last night I had a pumpkin pie smoothie that was amazing. We make meat sauce over spaghetti squash, but you just mix that pure protein powder into the meat sauce, and it does not change the flavor at all. But by increasing your amount of bone broth, those nutrients play a major role in helping to, one, help your gut health. There's so many health benefits. I have a whole session that I did about bone broth, but so my clients have seen amazing results. It's a 10-day challenge. A lot of them are losing almost a pound a day. So a lot of them, we're actually going to be doing our celebration call tomorrow night. And I
mhm.
can't wait, because I'm seeing all their weight submissions. Everybody in my group submits their weight to me on Monday mornings. And I'm just blown away by the results from people following this bone broth challenge. It's been incredible. So, but to go on with some other experts, just because I'm a certified health coach, and I was certified through Dr. William Sears, and he also emphasizes with regard to Hashimoto having a balanced diet, and he also includes regular physical activity.
Mhm.
So what I have found as far as physical activity goes, it's not for weight loss. A lot of us, and I was so confused with this, I thought you had to work your tail off in the gym, or I led a boot camp for 10 years. I was out there every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning from 5:30 to 7, never missed, because people were counting on me, doing walking lunges and squats and wall squats and running. And it did not matter. What mattered was what I was putting in my mouth. So for weight loss, I believe 90% comes from what we eat, and only 10% how we move our bodies. But for our overall health, it's so important to move our bodies. And that's what Dr. Sears, who I was certified through, believes. He also talks about incorporating foods rich in antioxidants. Dr. Sears specifically refers to, he talks about our body has 3 types of garbage: inflammation, oxidation, and glycation. And the way to fix those garbage problems is to increase the amount of foods that we eat that are high in antioxidants.
Mhm.
So the way he was a pediatrician. He's been a doctor for over 40 years, but the way he describes it is that when let's say, for instance, you are eating an apple and you cut an apple in half, you
Mhm.
know how it turns brown right away, pretty
Mhm.
much. I mean, it may take a few minutes, but that browning is the oxidation. So if you squeeze lemon juice on the apple, once you've sliced it, and I learned this from sending apples in with my kids to school, because they wanted them sliced, but they wouldn't eat them if they had turned brown. So
Right.
I figured, once you squeeze the lemon juice on it, well, the lemon juice is an antioxidant. So it's preventing the oxidation that's causing the apple to turn brown. So the same thing happens inside of our bodies when we're eating things that are rich in antioxidants, like blueberries. The dark skin of the blueberry is what is creating that has the antioxidants in it, that dark purple or bluish color.
Mhm.
That is going to help inside our bodies to prevent oxidation from occurring.
Okay.
So that will also help combat inflammation, which is again one of those three types of garbage that he refers to. So the other thing Dr. Sears is big on is omega-3 supplementation. So he actually like prescribes eating salmon twice a week because of the omega-3. But most people are not going to do that. So doing some type of a supplementation where you're getting the good omega-3s. I love also incorporating flax seed, which has good omega-3s. Chia seeds are great for that. Hemp hearts are another thing. I'll just sprinkle hemp hearts on my salad or have them in my yogurt, put chia seeds in my yogurt.
Mhm.
So the more you can increase the omega-3s, and that will actually help to increase and help your thyroid function.
Right.
And then, of course, Dr. Sears also suggests always working with your doctor to make sure that you're monitoring your, having a checkup of your thyroid function and seeing if you're currently on medication, if you can possibly reduce it. He teaches an acronym called LEAN, which is lifestyle, exercise, attitude, and nutrition.
Uh-huh.
And he talks about the pills and skills model of health, where if you're increasing in your lifestyle, exercise, attitude, nutrition, your need for pills are going to decrease at the same time. So
Okay.
you never want to just stop taking medication. You want to be able to talk to your doctor and
Right.
then find out if you're able to reduce medication, because I've had a lot of clients who have needed to get off of blood pressure medication because they were their blood pressure was going too low because they no longer needed it. They had lost 30 pounds, 50 pounds, whatever. And so it's important to work with your doctor on that, and especially with regard to Hashimoto as well. So Dr. Sten Ekberg is another doctor that I love listening to. And he, again, is all about a holistic approach to managing Hashimoto's. He highlights the importance of reducing stress specifically through things like meditation or yoga or making sure you're getting enough sleep. And it's amazing how all these things tie together, because when you're eating correctly, and you're staying hydrated. That's another huge thing that has helped me, is drinking tons of water. That's all I drink now, basically, is water. And when you're doing that, that's going to help you sleep better. When you're sleeping better, it's going to help you, everything kind of ties together. That's why it's a whole lifestyle change. But Dr. Ekberg also suggests avoiding gluten because that can trigger autoimmune responses.
Mhm.
So because Hashimoto's is an autoimmune disease, if you can get off of gluten, it's going to make a huge difference. The two biggest things, I think, for somebody with Hashimoto's is getting off of gluten and getting off of sugar. If
Mhm.
you can do those two things, your world will change.
Yep.
And he also stresses the importance of a nutrient-dense diet that's rich in vitamins and minerals, because those are going to help support your thyroid. So things like selenium, zinc, iodine, all of those are going to be good for your thyroid function.
Mhm.
So sorry, I could go on and on about
No, I love
Hashimoto's.
it. I love it. And
Yeah.
I can relate to so much of this. Like when you were going through all the symptoms, I would like in my head, I'm literally like, check, 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 and the whole gluten and the sugar, I can physically feel a difference if I've eaten gluten free on a particular day. I feel
Yes,
so much better even the next day.
absolutely.
So I think that's a huge, and even like in the stress, reducing the stress. I've learned a lot lately about cortisol levels,
Yes.
and what I can do to bring those down.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's so important. People don't realize how much stress wreaks havoc on our bodies in
Mhm.
so many areas. So whatever we can do, and whether it's, finding time to just relax in a bath and read a book or go for a walk. Walking is one of the best things that you can do. And like I said, not necessarily to lose weight, but for your overall health and for stress reduction. It's also fantastic for, and Dr. Sears talks about how when you walk, this is one little tip too. He talks about thinking of speed over distance. So instead of just going out and sauntering for an hour, it'd be better to go for a 20-minute walk, but really exert the energy and the effort and walk quickly, because then you're going to get your heart rate up. You're going to feel your heart pounding. You're going to engage your respiratory system. You should feel a little bit out of breath. Every step you take, you're breaking down bone and replenishing it. So you prevent osteoporosis. You're engaging your muscles by walking. So walking, as far as overall, if I were to say what's one thing that everybody should do for their health as far as physical activity, and most people are capable of it, is walking. Yeah. And even if the weather's not good, you can go inside of your local mall. I just did that. I had a client who flew in, she was here from out of state and wanted to meet. And instead of, I've also learned this, instead of making everything revolve around food, typically you say, oh, let's meet for a meal. We met to walk. Well, it was raining that day. So we met and went and walked in the mall, so I mean, you can make walking work,
Right. Yeah.
So,
Oh, I love that.
yeah.
So did you realize, I don't think I caught this in the beginning. Did you realize that you had Hashimoto's? Was this the 4 years ago?
It was actually 5 years ago, because it was 2019, and it's when I had just gotten back from a vacation, and I was seeing that nutritionist and trying everything, and it was not working, and I saw my
You were eating
functional.
all organic at the time.
That's when I was trying everything, just fruits and vegetables, organic fruits and vegetables. And basically what my doctor did was and this is something I wanted to talk about too, if it's okay, is just what your doctors should be looking for, because a lot of them are going to test certain things, but not look at others. And so they may miss a diagnosis for Hashimoto's. So for me, the big thing was my thyroglobulin antibodies were elevated. And so that's something I highly recommend having people look at. Basically, what the thyroglobulin antibodies are they're proteins that are produced by your immune system that mistakenly target and attack your thyroglobulin, which is the normal protein that's found in your thyroid gland.
Mhm.
So the thyroid gland produces the thyroglobulin, and that plays a crucial role in the production of your thyroid hormones. But basically what it is, and I love breaking things down and making it simple, is like if you were to imagine that thyroglobulin is a factory worker, it's in your thyroid gland, and it's working to help make those hormones that your body needs, the thyroid hormones. Well, your immune system is supposed to protect your body from harmful invaders, like viruses and bacterias. So in some people who have autoimmune diseases like Hashimoto's, the immune system gets confused, and it is basically attacking that factory worker. And so the thyroglobulin, by creating antibodies against it. So this can lead to inflammation and damage in the thyroid gland, and eventually it can cause it to produce fewer hormones. And that is what leads to all of those symptoms that I was talking about of hypothyroidism, when you're feeling cold or you're aching or you're tired. All of those things are because your own immune system is confused, and it's attacking that thyroglobulin. So you're not able to produce the hormones that you need. So understanding that and looking at the issues like fatigue and weight gain and feeling cold and all of those things, it's because the thyroid gland can't make the hormones to keep your body's metabolism running smoothly. So that's why I highly recommend having your doctor look at your antibodies, because when your body is creating antibodies against the thyroid, that is what is causing these symptoms.
Right.
So back in, I happened to just recently look at my test results, and in May 22nd of 2019, my antibodies were 97. They should be 20 or below. And so June 17th of 24, so just recently, I had them done again, and they're down to 18. So they are down into a normal range, no longer considered Hashimoto's. So, and I have done nothing except for lifestyle change, changing the timing of when I eat, changing what I eat, getting rid of the processed foods, eating real whole foods, eating foods high in fat, low in carbohydrates, getting rid of the sugar and the gluten. And it's made a world of difference, because some of the other things that doctors tend to check are your TSH, which is your thyroid stimulating hormone. And that's a good test to check. Your T3 reverse, as well as your T3 free, your T4, all of that is important. And together they can give a good comprehensive picture of what's happening with your thyroid. But a lot of times people don't check those antibodies. And so that's what I would recommend asking, and a lot of times you do have to try to find an alternative type of doctor, someone who's more of a functional medicine doctor, to get to those types of tests. And that's what my functional medicine doctor was able to do for me.
Well, now I'm curious about what mine say. I have an endocrinologist and I get my blood work tested with him. Um,
Okay.
but I'm not sure if those numbers are on my report or not. Now I'm curious to see.
Yeah. You'll have to check it out and see what the antibodies are showing.
But I do like that you said that they have to look at the overall picture, because I've had in the past where I'll go to my primary during my annual, just my annual physical, and she'll check my blood and she'll try and change my medication because I'm still on, I take Unithroid,
Okay.
but she's not looking at the whole picture. Whereas my
Right.
endocrinologist is like, he's looking at, so you got to make sure that your doctors are talking to each other as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a
Mhm.
great point. Yeah, because, and that's the thing, is finding a doctor too who wants to get to the root cause of the problem versus just prescribing medication. Because I've seen too many times where people are taking this medicine, which causes this side effect, and then they're taking something to stop that side effect, and then that's causing another side effect. And then they're so confused on what they're even taking and why they're taking it versus, fixing the problem, and finding a doctor who wants you to take an active role in your lifestyle, exercise, attitude, nutrition, so that you
Mhm.
can decrease the need for the medications. Ultimately, I mean, my goal is for my clients to be able to get off of medications if possible. And so many of them have been able to through lifestyle, exercise, attitude, nutrition. But it does definitely take time, and it takes working with your doctor and finding a doctor who wants that, doesn't want to just say, okay, here's your prescription.
These numbers are this, so I'm going to prescribe you this.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. So you mentioned your Facebook group. You've got two, correct?
I do, yes. So I have a free group, which I just started actually this year, February 15th. And in 5 months, it's grown to over 900 people. So it's been exciting, and it's given me the opportunity to just be able to reach and help so many more people. So yeah, if anyone is interested, I would love, it's called Beyond Keto. And you're welcome
We're
to.
gonna post that in the show notes.
Oh, perfect. Okay, thank
That
you.
way people can go straight to it.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And that's a great place just to start to understand. I go live in that group about usually once a month, and then every about 10 weeks I run a workshop in there. The next workshop will be starting August 26th, and I'll be going live every day for 10 days. And that's another time that I've just been amazed at the results that people have had. I have people who have, just through learning and implementing what they've learned in workshops, that within a month after the workshop, a month after, they've lost 20 pounds. And so and that's just from implementing what I teach in there. So it's a great way to just kind of get your feet wet, learn about the lifestyle. I have a free ebook also that I am giving to people that just kind of summarizes the changes that I've made in my life. I'm just passionate about wanting people to know there is a way, because I understand the struggle, because I've lost over 100 pounds 2 other times. But as soon as I would hit my goal weight, I would start putting the weight back on.
Mhm.
And I never understood my body and didn't understand why I was following the rules I was following. That's why this has been so different, because it has allowed me to fully dig into the science behind why I'm doing what I'm doing and understanding it. And once you get to that point, it makes it so much easier to stick to it and
Right.
to, if you know why you're doing something, you're more apt to continue and make it a lifestyle versus just blindly following rules. And you have to find something too, honestly, that you enjoy, that is not torturous while you're going through it. I've done the crazy, 500 calories where I've done the HCG drops. I've done where you have to go to the doctor and take the B12 shots. I've done, and none of that. Yeah, I lost weight, but it was not sustainable, because as soon as I stopped taking the pills or the shots or the, whatever it was that I was doing at the time, I would just quickly put all that weight back on. And in most cases, I'd put back on more weight.
Right.
So, you have to find something that you can do forever.
Yeah.
And that's why, there's things that I created a cookbook too called Beyond Keto. And in that cookbook, I've got all the recipes for muffins and pancakes and waffles. I was a huge carboholic.
Mhm.
None of those have any flours at all. There's not even almond flour or coconut flour, because even though we reintroduce that once we get to maintenance in my group, I
Mhm.
have found that that will stall weight loss. And so I've come up with ways of making desserts and all these yummy foods with no flours at all. None of them have, so they obviously have no gluten because there's no wheat products, there's no sugar in any of them. And so, just purchasing the cookbook and following those recipes, I've had tremendous success with people. So I love that I feel like I finally have overcome something that has been a battle of mine my whole life. And I feel like God's allowed me to use that to now help others. And in any way I can to help people, I'm excited to do it. So even if people after listening to this have questions and they want to look me up on Facebook and send me a message, I want to help. I really do. I want to help
I
people.
feel like you found your purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I could listen to you all day long. I love it.
Oh, well, thank you.
And so, and then for those who want to dig in a little bit deeper, you take on clients as
I
well.
do, absolutely. Yeah. So I also have my Real Health Resolvers group. And so it's a paid membership. You can choose either 6 months or 12 months.
Okay.
And that's where people submit their weight to me on Mondays. And I look at each weight submission, and they have an opportunity to share the details of what happened that week, whether it was good or bad. And then I share that during a celebration call that we do on Tuesday nights. And then on Thursday nights in that paid group, I go live every week. So I'm live twice a week in my paid group.
Okay.
And I teach on all different topics, whether it's Hashimoto's or how hormones affect our weight, or how to survive the weekends, how to stop emotionally eating, how to stop self-sabotage, so many different topics. So every Thursday I go live and share about something in the group.
That is wonderful. And I love that you're still educating yourself too, where you're following these doctors.
Yes, absolutely. I love to have the doctors who I highly respect to just be able to see what they have to say
Right.
and research what, I dig into. I've kind of nerded out on digging into the research that they provide and just looking at, how does this truly affect us? And it's amazing how, like I said, all of them tend to agree with one another as far as doing the keto style plan. Now, my plan does have some differences because I did try to follow keto for a period of time and I lost 19 pounds in like a month, but then I slowly, still following keto, was putting weight back on. But it was before I knew about spacing my meals, not eating snacks. I was following keto, but not in a healthy way. I wasn't incorporating vegetables with every meal. Now I try to incorporate vegetables. I incorporate the bone broth. There's so many more things to it. And so that's what I've done in creating my plan, is just really I've taken what has worked really well for me as well as hundreds of clients and put it together. I've created what I call a toolkit for success.
Mhm.
It's got a food list, so it shows yes, it's approved, or no, it's not. It's got a grocery list to make it easy to go shopping. And then it's got the guidelines that we follow. There's 7 simple guidelines that really have changed my life. I've mentioned several of them during our discussion today. So it's exciting just to see so many people not just lose the weight, but keep it off. I have Trisha Mason, who's one of my clients, who just now hit her 1 year. I was posting about it this morning.
I
She's
know.
kept 90 pounds off for a year. And, so it's not just losing weight to just regain it, because that tends to be what we do in America. There's tons of ways you can lose the weight. It's
Mhm.
figuring out how to have a lifestyle to keep the weight off. And that's what I'm so passionate about.
It's real health.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Like the name of your company, it's called Real Health.
that's
Well,
right.
I was going to ask you if there was like one little tidbit of information that you want to leave with the listeners, but I feel like you've given us so much.
Well, I would say the biggest thing, honestly, is getting off of that sugar and getting off of gluten. Those
Gluten,
would be the
sugar.
two. Yeah, if you can do that, honestly, your life will improve dramatically. And drinking tons of water. Those
Right.
3 things, I would say, top my list. Yeah.
Well, I've definitely enjoyed talking to you today, and thank you for sharing this with the listeners. And like I said, we're going to post these doctors in the show notes, and we're going to post your Facebook group. So if anybody wants to connect with you, they can get in touch with you
Fantastic.
that way.
I would love that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to share.
Yeah, thank you. And congratulations on keeping that weight off. You look great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.